Right then, thanks everybody for sticking with us. This is the last session of morning 2 for us. So at the end of this, we'll be halfway through. And we are going to have a little look at our Speedy 400 in a bit more detail. So we do have a presentation. There's not a huge amount on it because we want to keep it mainly machine focused and the machine going backwards and forwards. But just to give you an idea of what the plan is. Speedy 400 is the reason we've chosen the Speedy 400 to do a dedicated demonstration on is really because it's our best-selling machine in the UK market. It packs the most features, it's the fastest, it's the best performance, so we figured that's a good place to start. We're going to jump straight in with a live demo. So Jamie has a Speedy 400 set up. He's in the Loughborough showroom at the minute due to the internet issues in his home office. And I will just warn you that both Jamie and I are from the West Country and we don't have any subtitles. So if there's anything you can't understand, just put it in the chat and we'll do our best to articulate as well as we can. So we're going to do a live demo first off. We're going to have a look at the features of the machine and we'll do a little bit of that live on the machine, and we'll do a little bit just on the PowerPoint as well. A bit of a technical overview just so you can see size, weights, etc., that type of thing. And then we'll just crack on and make some more stuff essentially. So already I'm going to stop sharing because we don't need to see the PowerPoint. Let's get it. And make it more interesting and put our heads straight into a machine. Jamie, what have you got for us first? We haven't got your sound, Jamie. I've got background sound.
Try that through. How about now, mate? Any better?
That's much better. No background, all you.
There we go. Helps if I use the headset rather than the screen.
No problem. Easily done. We expect a few minor errors.
Yeah, sorry, mate. I'll jump into a demo here with so we're going to cut some 10mm acrylic, or engrave and cut some 10mm acrylic. So we're going to focus first on our little zebra here. So again, as we've done over the last couple of days, set our artwork up with black as our field shape will be an engrave, and then the red cut line contour there as a cut line. So just running quickly through the print process, as I'm sure you've all seen over the last couple of days, we just go through file and print from variation of different softwares. So we're using Coral again for today, and in here we're going to run through to what we call a minimized job size, just to minimize that to the nodes of the artwork, as I did earlier, for those that you were with us. So also we're going to run through the materials database here. Obviously, again, I've preset it in for power and speed settings to cut through.
Just while you're doing that, Jay, sorry to interrupt, as I know I have a tendency to do. Just from a housekeeping point of view, if you can't see the screen well enough, you should be able to double click on the presentation and make it full screen. And that should make it easier to see what Jamie's doing while we're doing this bit. Apologies.
Nice little tip. Right? So I'll run through the print process as we have done before, which will then drop us into our job control. So again, I've got the job identification window pop up. I'll just call this big zebra. Nice and original.
Creative.
But the limits of my creativity, unfortunately. So as we jump through, obviously job's dropping into our job queue again on the right hand side. So we have double click of the job in here, we'll automatically put it into our 0, position as we did before. And what we're going to do is go to our materials database, because I've noticed we have black in our job setting here as skip. So I'm just going to run it through as engrave with the power and speed setting. And now we should get a nice little estimated time before we start the job on the left hand side there. And what we're going to do with live feedback from the machine, so the red dot pointer that we've seen in our machines, which I will highlight again when we get into full screen, gives us this live feedback to the cursor on screen. So all I'm going to do is position the red dot to where I want my new start position to be. So just off the the perfect 0-0 here. So just inside the acrylic, snap our job into position, and then what we'll do is just press play. So I'm just going to change my camera again. I'll stop the share, and then we'll press play on the machine. And we've done it again as we did this morning with camera cable in the way. There we go.
Not normally a problem for people.
No. And there we go. So in first with the engraving, running back and forth.
There we go. So what material did you say this is that you've put in there, James?
So we're running with 10mm clear acrylic.
Okay, perfect. And is that a clear cast or a clear extruded?
It is a clear cast acrylic. So that's a big difference for those of you who are watching that aren't unsure about the two differences. Cast acrylic will give you a nice contrast colour here, so you're seeing the kind of frosted finish like we do with glass, whereas extruded acrylic, when we cut it, when we engrave it, should I say, gives us a sort of a clear engrave. So always tend to, for the laser processing, most guys who are engraving will tend to use cast acrylic. If you're cutting application side, then you can use extruded. What you find with extruded is you'll get a very fine lip around the edge of the cut line, but you'll still get a nice clear polished edge as well. So two types of acrylic, but just for two different applications. If you're looking to engrave it as well, then always best to use the cast.
So tell us, what's the specification of this Speedy 400 that you're operating? What power level have we got in here?
So we've got a 120 watt ceramic core tube, and I'm using, obviously, I've used a black alley grid table, which I've blocked off. So you'll see if I change my camera over while this is running, just to increase the extraction rate under the machine. Hopefully we've got that one there, so you can see also my camera in screen. I've just blocked off the rest of the table just to increase that extraction rate underneath, to pull the fumes away when we're cutting through as quickly as possible.
So you're just extracting the workpiece rather than trying to extract the whole room?
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So just pinpointing that extraction, so when we're cutting through the acrylic, you'll see it pinpoints the extraction into the corner.
And when we get into the guts of the machine in a minute, we'll have a little look at the table and various other features within the machine. Just tell us what power and speed settings you've used, Jamie, because it wasn't actually very easy to see.
Okay, so on the engraving, I'm using 45% power of that 120 watt, and I'm running at full speed. And then on the cut line here, I'm running at full power, and we're running at 0.18 speed. Okay.
Perfect, and I can see we've moved into cut mode now.
Yeah, so
presumably we will be done very, very shortly.
Exactly. Let me just pop back over, and you'll see.
Keep hitting us up with your questions down the right-hand side in the chat. I did see one which didn't happen, which didn't get covered in the last one, which was from Adam, which was about processing rubber. Adam, is this a rubber stamp application that you're looking at, or is it some other type of rubber? If you can let us know on that, and we can probably give you some advice, because we've both used plenty of rubber in our times.
There we go, we're all done. So I'll just lift this one out. Let's just move the laser head up.
Perfect, let's have a little look.
There we go. So drop that one down. Just going to pull the film cover off the back here. And what I'll do again is just...
The anticipation is phenomenal, Jay. Come on.
Sorry, I'll change my camera over so you can see what I'm doing. Keep forgetting we're in close-up mode. And then, here we go. We've got our little zebra. Nice blooming engraving. It's nice and focused. A nice clear, clean cut. Straight out of the
Beautiful.
machine.
Excellent. Excellent stuff. Right. Shall we get into the machine and have a little look at some of the features of this?
Absolutely. So let's just move some of this out of the way.
What do you want to have a look at first? Just going to switch my light off because it started flickering. One sec. There we go. I'll sit in the dark instead. Okay. Well, let's start with the laser head itself. So we've got a black pipe coming in on the left-hand side as we can see it. What's going on there?
Absolutely. So that's our air assist pump. So we have an air assist pump built into the side of the machine. Comes as a standard feature. We also have a gas kit as well that can go on the back of the machine to bring in inert gases, or you can use your own air supply, so use an air compressor just to increase the airflow. But that basically runs through our black pipe on the side here and in through the nozzle there, just underneath, just keeping our lenses nice and clean as well, and obviously pinpointed by the little nozzle on the bottom.
Okay, moving on to that nozzle. It's difficult to tell from here whether you've got a wide nozzle or a narrow nozzle on there.
Yep, so let's just take it off. I can show you exactly what we have. Nice little narrow one here to really pinpoint the air when we're cutting through.
Okay, and the Speedy 400, well, all the Trotec range come with multiple nozzles, so you can have either a wider nozzle where you don't need to direct your air so much, or you want more of a blanket air across it, or this much tighter nozzle which allows you to really direct air, and it's generally better for wood cutting and things like that. Not necessarily something applicable for acrylic, but for wood cutting you want that real strong jet of air. So optics, we're talking optics. Let's have a look at how easy it is to change the lens over.
Yeah, absolutely. So lens ourselves, and this one is the little black slide in the middle. So screw down on the center console, and that just slides in and out. And as you can see, we have our lens also marked on the top as well, so we know which way we're going in and out. And this just slides back in. And
the lenses are color coded as well, so if you've got a different focal length lens, it will be in a different color.
Absolutely. Sorry, just on that one part as well. All the lenses are color coded with the manual focus tool as well. So also we're using a 2-inch black lens here, so the tool has a little black sort of knob on it as well. So each one will change with the lens.
Perfect. Right, let's come around the side of the head, because this machine's got our Sonar Autofocus on it. Anybody who's watching with an older model Trotec machine will have an autofocus which comes from either side of the table through an infrared. Whereas if you can just point a finger at the Sonar, that would be
it's just this one. This one in here.
So that's our Sonar, and we're actually using sonar waves to find the material rather than an infrared sensor. And for older machine owners, you'll know that you can autofocus at the top of the table, but you can't autofocus all over the table. Whereas with the Sonar, which is available on the 400 and the 360, you can actually autofocus wherever you like.
Yeah, it's a great feature, moving with the head. Also, you can pinpoint exactly where the material is and focus where we want it.
So can we just go to the I-beam, or the back of the I-beam?
Absolutely. So I'm going to lift up.
So there we have an adjustment for the air assist. So we've talked about the fact that the compressor is built in, but what we haven't had with older models is the ability to adjust that air assist. So fact is that sometimes if you're somebody who makes rubber stamps, you want your air on nice and high, because you need to be blowing all that debris away from your lens. But then if you're moving on to doing some trolleys or something like that, you want to turn the air down, because you don't want to be blowing all your debris back onto your workpiece. So really good to have that little adjustment. Behind the I-beam, Jay, if you can bring it forward, we can see where we're extracting out of.
Indeed, let's move that one out of the way. Hopefully you can see.
So most of the machines that we've produced in the past have all had a grill across the back, but on this particular model you can block off various areas of the grill, and these are just turn and slide to move them backwards and forwards. So again, whilst the 400 is a great seller for us, we still find that more work is done in the top left hand corner than anywhere else, as with all the machines. So if you want to really focus your extraction to make sure that you're getting the very best from it, you can close off the rest of it and make sure that the maximum airflow is coming through in that top left hand corner, or wherever, but predominantly it's done there.
Absolutely. I'm just going to open that one now for our second demo. So yeah, nice feature. I have it turned off for the acrylic cutting.
Jay, you mentioned that you had the plastic film over the table to keep your air in.
Did.
Can we actually see the under table extraction?
Of course you can. Hopefully you'll be able to see just through, obviously, the metal grate here.
There we go. So there are 2 ports on the back, so we can extract straight out the back of the machine, like you'd find on a 300 or a 100. But with this, we can also extract from underneath the table. Again, this is available on the 360 as well, and on the machines moving forward and getting bigger. But it's such a useful feature to be able to extract from underneath, and you can focus your airflow to one or the other or both. What we find is when people are struggling to cut thicker acrylics, for instance, because they're getting flaming, it's not due to air assist, as is a popular misconception. It's generally due to extraction and removing those fumes as quickly as possible. Jay, can we just show how easy the table is to take out, because this is one of multiple table configurations that we have available?
It is indeed. So nice and simple on the 400. We have, as I hope you can see, just in the corner here, a little push screw, and then we come down to the bottom corner to another push screw. And then that one, as I drop the front door down, allows us then just to lift the table in and out, and then put the next one in. And we've also got little location pins as well, so all the tables can fit nice and simple. So it's easy to drop down the table, and then it's just a case of pushing those push screws back together.
Perfect. And the other tables that we've got available, Jay, what else have we got that we can put in there?
Little range on the 400. So we've got the slat tables. We do an aluminium slat table. So doing lots of acrylic cutting, larger product. What we do is we use the slat table just to reduce the flashback that you tend to get with the aluminium grid. We also do an acrylic grid table for it, and then we do the vacuum table and honeycomb as well.
Perfect. Good on you. And what you'll see also in the machine, you can see very easily, is the fact that the X and Y axis are all covered, same as you see with all Trotec machines generally these days, just to keep all the dust and dirt away from the vital organs of the machine.
Absolutely.
So, what are you going to do next for us?
So I've got a little bit of paper and card processing. So I've got a nice little file for us. So one thing, just you haven't mentioned there, Brian, I know we've got a section coming up on it later, is the print and cut application. Yeah. So also with the 400, we have our camera system, which hopefully if I come round, you can see here the little connection on the top here for our camera, and our camera here just slits on. It's nice and easy to interchange as well. So those who are doing sort of print and cut applications, we just push our camera on and then slide it off when we're not in use.
And that just saves the camera from getting the lenses on the camera from getting grubby when you're doing other types of work.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I always miss something. Doesn't matter how often you practice.
Absolutely. I'm sure there's more that we've missed as well, but
no doubt somebody will point it out to us. Right, we've had a couple of questions.
Okay.
Let's just show this one up. So, what was the size of that zebra? Wondering about the minimum narrow width of the tail for breakage.
So the zebra itself was 75 mil. So let's go back into a quick screen share here. So yeah, obviously with a thicker acrylic, just need to be careful with that that tail, exactly that point. So we were at the top there. I don't know if you can just see that, 75 by 74 mil.
Okay.
So yeah, any smaller, really start to see it struggle, and you find that it kind of, there's a lot of heat in that little area as well. So you just need to make sure that it's not getting too much heat into smaller areas and detail there, because that just, what we find is the acrylic almost forms itself back together. But like I said, that was only 75 mil, so it's not very big, and that's worked perfectly for us.
Bro. Okay, we've got another question here. I use 10mm for making stamps now. I use 10mm for making stamps. Oh, that's probably a how much would the machine remove in a faster engrave one pass? If you could just clarify 10mm what, or what, give us a bit more detail there if you could. Lothian Woodworks, that'd be good, and we'll do our best to answer the question. And then Laura has asked, what machine would you recommend for entry level, mainly producing acrylic jewelry, signs, etc.? Well, Laura, what we'd recommend is that that you came into one of our showrooms, and we'll help you decide that for you for yourself. Really, obviously the differences are thickness of product that you want to cut through, physical size of these signs, etc. Obviously, jewelry would be small, but signs could be quite big, and we'll help you find the right machine.
Yeah. Also on that, Laura, we've got I think there's a demonstration later on with Johnny and Trev, which will go through obviously the entry level glass laser tubes and our ceramic tubes as well. So there's also the webinar yesterday morning as well. But very much of that, come and see us. Let us go through what you want to do, and let's find the right machine for you.
Yeah, the first webinar, you're right, Jamie. First webinar this afternoon at 2 o'clock is essentially what's the right type of machine for you. So hopefully, if you can log in for that, then we may be able to get you at least some way down the road to deciding what the best thing for you is. Anyway, we digress, Jay. Shall we?
Absolutely, jump in. So obviously, I've just sent the file over again. So it's the obviously same process that we've watched earlier. So rather than wasting too much time going through that same process, we've done the same again. So we just again need to focus. So this time I use our Sonar Focus. So it will then focus in, find the material, and then sets the height for the lens that we're using. So it's our 2-inch lens in here. Again, use my red dot pointer just to be inside the card, very edge. And hopefully if I move this in a little bit closer, you can see what's going on. So I'm going to run an engrave on the card. I'm also going to run a score mark on the card, and then we're going to cut it out as well. So let's just run this one through.
So the machine here is operating at a max speed of 4.3 meters a second. Now you get lots of quotes of speed on literature and websites and things like that. What's really important when you're reading about how fast something is to understand the acceleration. Because acceleration is everything. It's all very well having a machine that can run at 4.3 meters a second, but if it takes a meter across the table before it gets to that speed, then it's a waste of time, because chances are it's time to turn around and go back again. So acceleration is one of the most important things as well. And with the 400, we're running at 5G acceleration, so it doesn't take us very long to get to that top speed either.
Absolutely, Brian. And also a big feature of the new 400 and the new series of the 100 and 300 is our OptiMotion setting. So we've run through on here. Obviously, you see here, just bending these score lines to form ourselves a nice little box, which my putting together skills don't match my laser skills, unfortunately. So going through, I know you can obviously see how it all fits together. So if I, sorry, Brian, go on.
I was just going to say, OptiMotion is something that you will hear a lot from us over the next few months. Essentially, what we've done is we've changed the electronics within the Speedy 400 and now also the 100 and 300, which has allowed us to move the head much quicker. So essentially, what the OptiMotion does is, if you think about a racing driver doing a test lap, it works out in advance of the cut where it needs to slow down or speed up to get the maximum efficiency. And if you can see, if we just make that full screen, Jard, just make that full screen, make it easier to see. We've got various different options. So if you're just looking for speed, so if you're cutting paper and card and the edge finish is irrelevant really, as long as it's cut through, then we have this new throughput mode, which is where OptiMotion really kicks in.
Absolutely. And then obviously moving on from that, you've got the Actually model. So doing the real precision stuff where you want that flame polish edge on acrylic, for example, really highlights that. So you get a nice clear cut finish all the way around. And then obviously again, for the best of both worlds, we process it in standard process. But great analogy there, Brian. That's kind of really lays it out in layman's terms. It really is finding the best way for the best application, and finding the best results for you.
And these are all standard features. The other thing we ought to look at, have you got job control cut on that laptop?
We don't, unfortunately, on the 400.
Okay. We won't worry about it then. Good. So, second application. Okay, Lothian Woodworks has come back to us. Let's have a look. So, it uses 10mm cast acrylic for making stamps for leatherwork. Right, gotcha. So, you have to take off 4mm of material. How much material would 120 watt remove in one pass? Well, that's very much dependent on how fast you run the head. So obviously 120 watts is a powerful laser source. If we're running at half speed, we'll probably take off about 1 mil, something like that, I'd have thought. So there's a payoff between how much material you want to take away and how much the substrate can actually cope with that heat. I would imagine doing 4mm all at once would probably distort the acrylic a little bit, especially if it's a fairly fine detail. So I would, if I was doing 4mm, I'd probably aim to do it in 4 passes just for continuity of the material. What's your thoughts, Jay?
Yeah, absolutely. That I think 4mm is quite a big depth. Obviously, with acrylic, very rarely do we go for deep engraving. So trying to find that depth, it's a case of slowing those speeds down, and like I said, probably doing multiple passes would be better. It's the laser slightly differently. So if you're using with CNCs, for example, you could set the depth. Obviously, using the tooling, we don't have that ability. We use it with power and speed settings. So a little bit of trial and error to find the right setting, but we can plug that into our database to save it for future. But I think I'm with you. I think trying to do it in one pass, I think it'll just be far too much heat in there to. Well, what you'll find is it will distort the acrylic as you go. But something we're more than happy to test for you again, Lothian. If you want to send us something, one of your local guys there, that's Chris probably, be able to run through some tests for you and find a setting.
Okay, so he's using 10 passes at the minute. So yeah, I would say the fineness of beam allows for better vaporization. I know you're using K40s, so you're going to get a much finer beam and therefore better vaporization. So you should be able to take the material away much cleaner, and therefore you do it far fewer passes, I would say.
Absolutely. Even if we're running at 10 passes, we're probably going to be still 3 times as quick. Obviously, seeing the speeds of our engraving.
So, shall we move on to the last? Is it the last one of your applications?
It is indeed, yeah, third and final. So,
let's have a look what you got for us.
Got a bit of plywood that we're going to do some engraving on. So, just wanted to highlight another feature of our Speedy range, which is using a Z offset. So, we had a little bit yesterday with the entry level versus Speedy. So, you've seen Trev and Johnny running the chopping boards, for those of you who are watching, or the cheese boards, should I say. And we've also seen a bit of dark discoloration or darker finish on the glass laser tube with a different quality of laser source. So obviously, I think there's a note in there yesterday. Obviously, preferred the darker mark to the clearer mark of the Speedy. What we can do with the Speedy is run a range of offsets. So this is running the material out to focus to give us that darker colouring. So again, I've set up a file, which if I share my screen again quickly with you, using our colour format. And again, we're going to run through a few different settings. So we've got the black at the top, which will be a standard engrave. If I show you our database here, so running at 75% power and 100% speed with no offset at all on the black. And then the red, we're then going to run with a 4mm offset. So what it does is we'll lower the table by 4mm, and then we'll run through to the blue logo at the bottom. Again, that'll be 10mm out of focus. So you'll see it drop another 6mm, and then we're going to go to the green to cut out at the end, and you'll see that's a 0-0 offset. So you'll see the table move back up from the 10mm position to 0-0, so we're in focus for that cut job. So it's a really great feature to allow us to do multiple jobs and move that focal point around. So what I'm going to do now is I'll stop my share so you can see it there, and we'll get back into the machine and we can see that process. So let's just Move our laser head again slightly out. Snap our job into red dot. And then we'll run our job off. There we go. So running
perfectly in focus for this one, yeah?
Perfectly in focus on this one. So left it in focus, running at 75% power and 100% speed. So you'll see a very light discoloration with the plywood. And like we did with Trevor and Johnny's demo yesterday, for those that were there, would have seen that nice crisp, but not very stand out engrave effectively. And then
yeah, so this will be you'll get more depth with that, won't you? But you won't get so much discoloration.
yes, exactly.
Okay, so this one we expect to be a bit darker.
Yes, this one's dropped to 4mm out of focus. So very slightly harder to see on that camera, but there is a slight discoloration. So we're running at 4mm, and then we'll see it drop down to 10mm. So once this row's finished, we'll just see the table drop by 6mm. There we go, and then we'll again straight off again. So we're now at 10mm out of focus.
That's visibly much darker.
And you can really see the colour change here now. So we've not changed any power or speed settings, so we're not slowing it down or anything like that to try and get depth. What it tends to do with wood is obviously the deeper you go, the darker you tend to go. But now we'll obviously be able to run this out of focus and control that out of focus every time. Really shows the difference. So you'll see that the engrave isn't deep. Once this is finished, I'll bring it up to the camera. And there you go, you see the table then lift back up into focus so that we can actually cut through the material. Perfect. And then what I'll do is I'll just change my camera again here, Bryce, so you can see our full view. You get a slightly better finish as I lift that one out. And then hopefully if I bring this up to the camera, you can really see sort of 3 discolorations.
Yeah, that's good.
And a nice clean cut edge around the edge as well.
And on the back?
On the back.
Perfect.
Nothing. So it's just playing around with those offsets. What you find is that the further and further you go out of focus, you'll just lose the edge quality or the crispness sometimes. So 10mm, we're right probably on the limit here. It's very hard to see on camera. But as we go further, so you can actually drop it obviously further and further out of focus. But what you find then is you'll just surface burning it and giving it that kind of rustic look rather than actually engraving or vaporizing the material.
Yeah, and I think people are looking to generate different effects at the minute. The precision of perfectly engraved laser stuff is not for everybody. I've installed a machine last year with a customer, and he wanted to run everything 20mm out of focus, and that was to provide a rustic look. To me, it looked awful in terms of what I would expect from a laser. The final product looked lovely, but it didn't look right to me. But that's exactly what he wanted. So
exactly, great. I think that burning sort of sensation, and people doing it by hand. People like that old rustic kind of version nowadays. It's kind of the old shabby chic of furniture making, isn't it? Everyone's kind of going backwards and repainting things. I think it's that old style rustic look does appeal to a lot of people.
Absolutely. Right, let's ping back over to here. So we've mentioned most of this. What we did forget was, of course, we forgot the dynamic status display on the lid, didn't we? So to talk you through it, there we have an LED strip on the lid which shows you how far into a job a machine is. So you can actually see. Can we just? I'll stop sharing. You bring that up, Jay.
Hopefully you can see on there.
So you can see on the left-hand side.
That's it. So the big screen up the top, and that will fill across. There we go. So obviously the job at the moment isn't in, so it's just saying we've got a green light to say it's ready to go. And then that bar will fill up across the bed as it's processing. So you get a nice visual if you're in a warehouse or something like that, or a big production site. It's nice and easy for the operator to see as the job progresses.
There we go. We were bound to forget to point something out, weren't we?
Obviously.
Obviously. Okay, so we talked about OptiMotion. We've shown you job control. The Speedy 400 also fully available to run with our Ruby software, and we're going to cover more on the Ruby software tomorrow. We have a section on production management and production management software specifically. We've done air assist, impact technology, materials database, everything else there as well, I think. So let's just talk about some of the options as well. As with the vast majority of our machines, the Speedy 400 is available as a flex. So from the first session this morning where we looked at fiber laser and CO2 laser, the flex is a combination machine of the two, so you get both sources. We have a whole raft of different lenses available for specific applications. We won't go through them all now, but we would talk to you about it if there's a specific application. Jamie mentioned the job control vision, which is our camera system. Rotary attachment we haven't done during this, but we did a session yesterday on rotary attachments and how to make money with rotary attachments. So that is on the link that you were sent yesterday if you have registered, which you must have done or you wouldn't be here. And it's now timestamped. Yesterday morning's timestamped. So if you want to go back and have a look at rotary attachment, it's all there. Gasket we mentioned, so we can put an external gas supply through. So predominantly our customers that want to do this will be adding maybe a nitrogen or something like that for high quality wood cutting. We've got a temperature sensor available, so it will sound an alarm if it gets hot in the cabinet. We have pass-through option is available, just to be aware that there are various regulations in place so that once using pass-through, the machine becomes class 4, and there are various health and safety implications of that. But again, it's something that if it's something you want to do, we can talk you through it and tell you all about it. There's just a little technical overview of the machine. It is a lump, 350 kilos. We've taken them apart and put them into places where we didn't think they'd go on numerous occasions. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it's not able to go into a building. We have our own technical transport team that are brilliant, and they will get machines in places that we think it's impossible. Big, strong fellas. And that's it. So if there are any questions, we are 3 minutes from time. So if anybody's got any questions, then please pop them in the chat now. And if not, then we will see you this afternoon.